Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have final Age of Overlord reveals. This is always a really fun part of the set because we get 10 to 15 cards revealed all at once, but the downside is definitely a lot of this is pack filler. It's non-important cards that are going to end up being commons for sure, but there's always 1 to 3 hidden gems in here that are actually pretty decent cards. So we'll see what we get here. I haven't read over all of these, but let's get going. Also, one more thing. I saw that there might have potentially been a reveal for the new Rescue Hedgehogs effect. I'm not sure if those reveals were right. I read a quick effect on it, and it sounds crazy, but I don't want to confirm or deny anything until we know for sure that those are real. So I would let Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization decide when that is correct and the right information before I bring that to you. But it looks crazy. I will bring that either in another video, or if that gets translated here tonight, I will bring it to you then. So let's get into it. A bunch of cards. We have 11 cards to run through, so let's get cracking. We start with a Scapegoat, one of the 2 final trap cards for the set here. It's a continuous trap. No hard ones per turns on this, but when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a non-token monster you control, you contribute 1 monster to special summon an Escaped Sheep token. It's a Beast Earth level 1/0/0 token in defense position. And also, if a token monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one of your... if a non-token monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one of your tokens instead. This card's fine. It's a fun card. It just keeps pushing the lore of the Scapegoat tokens and cool stuff. It's a fun card, but it's not going to be anything competitively relevant. I would love it if Konami came out with like a new modern day take on like Scapegoat that's like fair enough, but also just still really good in a way where maybe it's a sideable card or very specific strategies can use it, but it's actually good enough to play, because Scapegoat used to be one of my favorite cards. Okay, moving on, we have Ori no Kamigami. I love the design on this. Konami, can we please get an origami archetype? That would be so cool. It's all just characters made of paper, like this kind of style. That'd be so freaking cool. Okay, this is a Dark Fairy, level 1, 100 attack, 0 defense. First effect, once per turn you can toss a coin until the result is tails, and if you do, draw 1 card for every 2 heads. So you would have to get 2 heads in a row and then a tails to even get a draw 1. But I guess there is a world where you could draw 3 or 4 if you're super, super lucky. But not worth it. 2 die roll dependent or coin dependent. Each time either player tosses a coin or coins while this monster is face up on the field, its attack becomes multiplied by the number of heads. That's not once per turn at all. So that means by the number of heads. Okay. But that just keeps multiplying. That's still really bad. I mean, that's awful. This card's a really gimmicky card. It's a coin toss card. It's fun. It's cool. I love the art style, but it's nothing really relevant competitively. Next up here, we move to Tau, the Great Chanter, an Earth Illusion monster. Yes, give us illusions, more illusions. Level 3, 1200 attack, 900 defense. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. First effect, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. That's cool. That's fine, because the illusion archetype is probably going to have a good amount of removal effects to kind of counterbalance the fact that they can't clear stuff via battle, which is cool. Second effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard, like that, it's really generic, you can target 1 illusion monster in your graveyard except for Tau, the Great Chanter. Special summon it in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the graveyard for the rest of this turn except illusion monsters. That's pretty good. That's actually quite a good effect. I know the new fusion monster, I believe, lets you Foolish Burial any, is it Fiend, Beast, or Illusion monster from deck? So that becomes an extender to get an extra body out, which is kind of cool. Also, just using this for fusion material, or even just normal summoning it and linking it off, or whatever. that just allows this card to go ahead and reborn something, get you more material to keep popping off. I think this is actually a nice piece. This could be a cool one-of for certain lines to actually just get extra material on the board, and I don't think it's that bad of a brick, because you can use it with Chimera. You can just send it off Chimera Fusion, or send it with any effect that, you know, pitches from hand, and allow you to keep, you know, going, and like potentially even get a body back that way. So that's cool. Yeah, this card's actually pretty good. This one's a cool one. Next up here, we move to Uyatsu, Sumamahime. Sumamahime? Okay, doing my best here. Okay, cool. I like the artwork on this. Really cool. Trees just eating a ton of fruit. Is that cannibalism? I don't know. Okay, this is a light plant effect monster. Level 4, 1600 attack, 200 defense. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets this card, or when this card is targeted for an attack, you can special summon one Oyatsu token, a plant light level 1, 800 stats token. Second effect, once per turn, when your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters. Quick effect, tribute a normal monster, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. That's actually not the worst thing in the world. I like that first effect, you can target it with your own stuff, so kind of like the new Infernoble Synchro 5. You just target it like with an equip to equip it, and then it would trigger to then, I think it gets you like some resources. This is like a similar thing, right? You can target this with any of your own effects, and then this card gives you the token. And now it's just a walking negate of a summon. Now, when we have an interruption that is a negate of a summon only, that can be played around somewhat easily. Plus, not only this card, but the token itself is pretty small. So there's definitely where your opponent can kind of just walk over the token and then use a removal effect to clear this guy. Because even if he's able to chain to summon a token, he's going to be cleared by that removal effect, and then he doesn't get the interruption at all anyway. So it's cool. Like it's a fun card, but I don't think it'll be competitively relevant. But it is cool. It's an interruption. I think in maybe when we talk about like sealed battles where people just open this set, this could be a generically good enough card to be good in like that kind of format. All right, moving on. We have a girl who apparently looks just like a ghost sister, but she is not a hand trap. So yeah, this is Hana Yomey Nino. This is a Earth Spellcaster Tuner effect monster. Level 3, 0 attack, 2100 defense. Honestly, not that far off from like exact like Ghost Sister hand trap stats, right? Level 3, Tuner, 0 attack, high defense. Pretty damn close. Okay, when you draw this card, you can reveal it and special summon it. Okay, I don't like that it has to be drawn. I wish this is like added to hand, special summon it, but okay. At the start of the battle phase, if you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, this card gains attack equal to the difference times 300. That's kind of interesting. Going second, that just means if your like opponent did like some sort of combo or pulled some cards out of their deck kind of thing, especially if we're talking about like, what about Pot of Desires? Now this card's probably getting 1500 or 15 times 3, 4500 attack on like a turn like that. That's kind of cool. You would definitely build your deck with 40 cards, and then maybe if your opponent, maybe anybody who happens to play a little over 40, you're kind of getting free real estate there. It's cool, but kind of gimmicky. I believe this activates because of the colon there at the beginning of battle phase, so it is negatable, I think, but it's okay. And then during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, placed on the top of the deck. Oh, okay, so if you draw it next turn, you can just summon it back out. That's cool. It's like a worse Gren Maju, like a much worse Gren Maju, I think. But it's still interesting. It's a fun card, I would say. Okay, moving on here, we have UFO Light. This is a Fire Illusion. Oh, another illusion. Cool. Fire Illusion effect monster. Level 8, 15/15, pretty low for a level 8. You can only use the third effect once per turn. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects except during the battle phase. Okay, this deck doesn't even really like to play around with the battle phase, so that's totally fine. Second effect, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed. Okay, and during the end phase, you can draw one card, then banish one or more cards from your hand, and if you do, this card gains 500 for each card banished by this effect. Okay, so it's like a cycle on end phase. To me, this card almost seemed okay, except like it just should have been an extender in some way. If you control an illusion monster, banish an illusion monster from grave, whatever. This card should have also just been like an extender in some way. But now I'm sitting here like, how are we getting this on field? Really? So yeah, I don't think there's much of a payoff here to warrant playing a brick, but you know, the cycle effect on end phase, I like that that's every end phase. You just kind of get to fix your hand a little bit more. Draw one, banish one. It's kind of cool. But yeah, nothing crazy here. Definitely this guy is way better. Okay, moving on here, we move to a brand new, what is this card? What was this, the first version of this called? Card swap, card trader. Card trader? I think it's card trader. We have card scanner here. I love these giving up the deuces too. That's cool. This is a continuous spell, of course. Once per turn, you can declare one card type, monster, spell, or trap. Each player reveals the bottom card of their deck, and if they reveal a card of the type that you declared, add it to that player's hand. So unfortunately, you can't like take your opponent's card. If you call it and they happen to have it, they get a free card to hand, but also you would if your deck had it as well. Otherwise, place it on the top of the deck. Okay, like nothing crazy there. I don't love that you can just give your opponent free +1s. That's terrible. The only way I can really see this coming up is like playing a trap deck, just because traps are just way less popular in most formats for, you know, modern day. So your opponent's never going to be too likely to hit anything except for maybe an archetype trap that they don't play in large quantities, and maybe like impermanence. Other than that, like most decks aren't on too many trap cards, whereas you could be playing a deck that has like 30 trap cards, so you're pretty consistently getting a free card off of this. But other than that, like, it's pretty bad to just give your opponent free stuff. Second effect of this card in its owner's spell and trap zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect. You can make your opponent place one card from their hand on the bottom of the deck. That's fine. It has to be destroyed by your opponent's card. I was going to say that'd actually be nice if this card could generically just be destroyed and then hand rip a card from your opponent. But hand ripping's degenerate. I understand why they're not messing around with that. But yeah, this card's just cheeky. Not good though. Moving on. Next up we have Tarai. This guy is ugly as hell, but that's okay. This is an Earth Fairy effect monster. It's level 4, 0/0 for the stats. You can only use its effect once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can target one face-up monster in the main monster zone that activated its effect on the field this turn. Destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card to the zone that monster was in. The zone. So not the column. That means if you destroy your opponent's monster, you get to summon this. You summon this to their field. This is fine. The only way I could have seen this card being like actually any sort of playable is that if this card said from hand or graveyard. That way, like, not only do you do it once going second, but then just like it's in grave, and every single time for the rest of the duel your opponent tries to activate a monster effect on your turn, you kind of have like a free piece of removal for it. But other than that, it's just like much worse Kurikara. Why would you ever play this over Kurikara? Kurikara doesn't activate, it doesn't target. It's one of the best forms of removal out there, tributing for cost essentially, or for, you know, whatever, as summoning condition, and has the benefit of like stealing an opponent's monster on end phase. So just way worse Kurikara. All right, next up we have Invasive Alien Species, IAS. I love this guy's design. He looks really cool. He's got like the feathers. He's kind of got some plant stuff going on. He's really cool. This is a light reptile effect monster. Oh, it's a reptile. You know I like reptiles. Level 4, 16, 0 for the stats. Second and third effects are hard once per turn. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while there's a face-up card in your opponent's field zone. If there's a face-up card in your opponent's field zone, you can target one monster they control, destroy it, and if you do, this card gains 1,000 attack. That's permanent, but also just like not a bad removal effect either. Okay? And third effect, if there is a face-up card in your opponent's field zone and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon it. That's not bad. I mean, like, now, I don't think this card's generically good enough, even if you're in a field spell matchup, but I could see, like, if you play the reptile deck, like the reptile pile, Ogdoadic, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be super easy to access. And if you do play a matchup that like very consistently has a field spell on the field, this is a pop, an extender from grave. Like Ogdoadic like has a million ways to Foolish Burial this. So like going second versus a deck that like always puts a field spell up, this card's pretty good. It's going to not only be a level 4 extender, it has protection, and it has a monster removal once per turn. It's actually not a bad card, but it does need a lot of requirements, right? It needs to be played in something specific like the Reptile Pile. It needs to be in a matchup that is very consistently putting up a field spell. That's kind of asking a lot. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have a spell, Lament of the Immortal Bushy. Very cool. Love Immortal Bushy support. Continuous spell. All monsters in your graveyard become warrior monsters. Okay, that's just your graveyard, though, so it's not even like a somewhat floodgate for your opponent's grave. And second effect, once per turn during the end phase, you can destroy all monsters you control. This card's terrible, but it's funny. It's cool. It's, you know, it's Immortal Bushy support. What are we expecting here? And our final new card from Age of Overlord is a new trap called Seycho Rutan. This is a normal trap card. Very cool. I believe it's got a World Legacy lore. They say it here, your organization does. Looks like Imduk and Ib here, kind of doing some spiritual merging or something. Doing some cool stuff there. That's cool. Doesn't have World Legacy or anything in the name, so it's not like searchable in the archetype, but okay. You can activate one card with this card's name per turn. Target one fusion, synchro, link, or exceed monster on the field. Return that face-up monster to the extra deck. Then you can special summon one appropriate monster from either graveyard to your field based on the type of monster returned. If it was a fusion, you can summon a monster with the same attribute as the monster returned. If it was a synchro, you can summon a monster with a lower level than the returned monster. If it was an exceed, a monster with a level equal to the returned monster's rank. And if it was a link, a monster with the same type as the returned monster. This card I actually think could see play in trap decks down the line. It's a pretty good form removal, returning a monster to the extra deck, but it is pigeonholed a little bit by only being able to mess with extra deck monsters. I wish that this could have just said target any monster on the field and return it to the deck, and then if it was fusion, synchro, link, exceed, so that way this card could still at worst be better than Compulse, but maybe that's just they didn't want to completely power creep Compulse out of ever seeing play ever again, and that's, I guess, fair. But it would have made this card feel better. There are definitely decks that come around that just like do not need the extra deck that much, so what is this doing? I get that for sure. As far as those bonus effect goes, I think Synchro seems to be the best one, because this one's always going to be on, right? I like that you can also take from your opponent's graveyard, so it's not even like you have to get stuff set up. You can just take some of their stuff as just free material, free bodies, whatever. Because like if they make a Synchro, they're guaranteed to have a monster with a lower level in the graveyard. That is guaranteed. But as far as fusion goes, there's not always going to be a guarantee that there is a monster with the exact same attribute as the fusion. Exceed, there's never a guarantee. No. Exceed is actually good, because if they made an Exceed, when you return that Exceed monster, its materials go to grave, which means they should have it guaranteed a monster with the same level there. So that's actually pretty good as well. And Link, a monster with the same type. So like Link and Fusion are the most up in the air ones. They're just not guaranteed. They could still be doable for sure, especially we're talking generic Links, generic Fusions, dragons, warriors. You know, some of the more popular types are probably going to be machines. Pretty common. So that's cool. This is a cool card. I think it has a high ceiling of being able to like really like do some really powerful stuff, maybe even in some mirror matches, bouncing a monster and then, like, you know what I mean, like bouncing a Sprind and then reborning a like blue in your opponent's grave and then searching a sprite monster for yourself on follow-up. Like there's definitely some cool interactions there. I think it's a cool card. I actually think this card will see play at some point. I don't know if it's right now, but at some point, hopefully. That I think is everything I have for today. I'm not seeing the new Rescue Hedgehog card here. Like I said, if that translation was correct and it's as good as it looked on that translation, I will definitely bring you an individual video talking about that card. But as for today, I would say as far as the final reveals here, I think the big ones are definitely Tau the Great Chanter. This is just a nice addition for Illusion, for sure. This is just a good generic monster for them. And I'd probably just say the new trap. You know, like I said at the beginning of the video, 1 to 3 cards. We got 2 cards that I think are going to be potentially good cards in decks down the line. I think that's about what I expected. And and I was excited to go through them. So cool stuff. Let me know your thoughts down below on any of this new stuff. Is there anything else you want to note about any of these new cards, maybe specifically Tau and the Seycho Rutan, because those seem to be clearly the two good cards here. But if there's anything hidden gem wise, let me know the thoughts down below. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we'll probably have a video talking about Age of Overlord as more of a whole pretty soon, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.